I went up to this person at the bar, and the way I hugged them, and then they looked at me and it was like almost like a, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, go yourself. Second of all, you literally post yourself eating uncooked, unseasoned chicken on your story every single day, acting like that's a flex. You have no right to be a nasty person and make me feel like I'm a shit person and that my night gets ruined because I was trying to be nice to you. Do you want to open the episode?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh God, I'm
Okay.
kind of scared.
Look at your camera.
My camera ready.
And talking to your mic.
Okay, yes. Oh my God. Right, of course. Hi, I'm Justin Barish, and welcome back to Third Wheeling.
You didn't even allow me to talk.
Yeah.
And I'm Levanti, and I'm also one of the hosts for Third Wheeling. You know what?
What?
I love that you got to intro the episode, but I know you're nervous.
I know.
Not just because you get nervous before we film, but it's also because you're fighting back the fact that you're hungover, and you just told me that you might in fact shit yourself.
Listen, I had some coffee, so I'm like, oh my God, like I could literally myself on this couch right now. But you know what? It's okay. We're gonna get through it.
It's not okay. We're on a white couch. We're literally on a white couch. That would be the most catastrophic thing that would ever happen to us.
I'm currently in my flop era, so like that would be very on brand for me to do in this moment.
Yeah.
Like things are constantly working against me right now in this moment in time in my life. So I'm just gonna go with the flow, you know?
The universe, his bowels, they're all working against him. But
God.
yeah, like, I mean, I don't, not to harp on it, but I guess like that is what we want to discuss today is like being in your flop era. And every time we say flop, take a shot, you'll be dead.
And you will die.
And you will be dead within the first minute of this
Yes.
podcast. Justin, you've been in a flop.
I've invented the flop at this point. Here's the thing about being in your flop. Like, you can still be like coming across like you're having a good time, and like I'm holding my down, I'm holding it together. But like these past 3 months, I've just not been having fun. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're doing a podcast, which is great and it's so fun, but like at the same time, I'm like, God, nothing is working out for me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Well, no, I get it in a sense where it's like, I just feel like we've been living in such a monotonous time where it's like, when we first moved here, it was exciting. We were constantly doing stuff. It felt like every day was fun, even when we had work, like when we started to pick up jobs. But now it's like, we are living in Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Every day has felt the same. We are doing the same things. It's like we're going to work, coming home, eating dinner, going to sleep. And I hate that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm considering that a flop era, but also we have to recognize, for those who don't know, me and Justin are actually going to be moving in together, which is a huge step in our relationship. But I think what we're in right now is like a transitional period. So we're kind of inflicting the flop era on ourselves.
Yeah. Before we dive into that, like, define a flop?
It depends on what you're talking about. So there's multiple different ideas of being in that type of era. So like it could be for your career, it could be for just your social life, it could be for your health. For me, I feel like my flop is when I have no motivation. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Even when I'm doing things that make me happy, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Or like I feel like my hard work never pays off.
Right.
And that is currently how I feel. There's a bug flying around me. The bug is enjoying the flop. That is how I feel right now. So I am also in a flop era.
No, it's so weird. Like I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Overall, it's not good. But like right now, like you said, like your flop can be like your career, your friendships, your relationship, like all aspects of your life. One can be flopping more than the other one not so much. For me personally, right now, I just feel like overall I haven't been motivated to do work. I've been like slacking off at work. Shh, don't tell my boss. Oops, sorry. Slacking off at work. I've just been like not even doing content, filming. It's a struggle to do. Getting up out of bed, going to work out. I feel like my body in itself, like to shambles. I have boyfriend body.
First of all,
boyfriend body, and it's bad.
First of all, we're going to unpack that really quick. Justin likes to define what he has as, first of all, he's super fit. He looks great. So let's just cut it there. But he calls it boyfriend body, where he basically has put the pressure on me and the blame on me that the reason he, quote unquote, looks the way he does is because he has a boyfriend.
It is a known fact that you naturally put on 10 pounds when you start dating someone. That's a fact.
But that is not a fact.
that's
I would like
body.
a fact check, and if it's true, just put it in front of me and be like, Lewis is wrong. But I know for a fact that is not a true thing. Like that is not a thing. That is
Look it up.
to that's in the eye of the beholder. I'm not shoving food down your throat. I'm not making you drink. I'm not making you not work out.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm pushing you to work out because we both enjoy that.
True.
But I digress on that. I feel like for you, I've noticed that I think a lot of people, when they're in this really negative state of mind, it's so hard to realize it because it's all you can think about. You're just, I don't want to say depressed because some people are like clinically depressed and all that stuff. But with you, we had this conversation where I was like, sometimes your energy, I'm a person that feeds off of energy.
Yeah.
When you tell me about your stuff, I want to help so badly, but when I can't, I start to take on that negative energy. So it's like like in the inverse, like I'm falling into a flop error because I see someone else in it. And I don't know, I feel like that's just like a really common thing. I think for a lot of people, I wouldn't hope that, but I feel like a lot of people can attest to the fact that there are ebbs and flows in their life where like they are in the dumps.
Peaks and valleys, which are good. And it comes with life in itself. Like there are highs and lows, which if like, everything's not at an all-time high.
Yeah.
But I feel like in our society and the way like we view things, it's like things have to always be high or they're like low. Where it's like that's like my mindset is like if things aren't going super well, I'm like down in the dumps, which is so toxic. It's so bad.
Do you ever think you feel that your life isn't going the way you want it to because you are putting a different standard to things where it's like you expect to be one thing and when you don't get there you're like my life is
yeah
what aspect of let's pick one. So like let's talk about our career. So like
perfect.
For me, when I say like I'm flopping or am I flop or I feel like shit or this whatever with my career, it's like something if I post a video that I know should do well and it gets like one view, I'm like, holy fuck, I'm in my flop.
You're like, I'm terrible. Being canceled. It's over for me. My career's done.
I can't quit my day job. I need to go work at a Barry's boot camp. Like I can't. Like that's not a bad thing.
Don't come from people who work at Barry's.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing to work at Barry's. I'm saying like that is a job that I'd be like, oh, if I don't have another job, I would just go work at Barry's. Because one, free workout classes, and two, like you could make it on Barry's money if you worked every day.
But anyway, continue your thought.
That is my measure of career in terms of social media. In terms of my job, it's like feeling underappreciated or feeling like whatever I do isn't good enough or that I'm never doing enough. And I think that is something I do to myself. But in that same moment, I've times where I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I judge that where I'm like, if I'm not meeting that standard, I'm like, oh, I'm flopping.
Yeah. For me, I'm very competitive. I like have to be number one in everything. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it so good that's going to beat out everyone else and just to prove that I'm like good at it. And I will do it. I will go out of my way to do something to be like, I'm good at that and I'm better at it than you. And like, then I'll like just randomly just like stop. Like that is, I'll like be hyper fixated on these like topics or like things and I'll get really, really good at it and then I'll just randomly drop it because I'm like, oh, I'm good at it. And so I'm like done. I've like mastered it and I'm the master. So I don't have to keep doing it, which is bad for me. And the reason why I constantly feel like I'm flopping is just because like I do something for such a short period of time and then like I don't continue it.
You don't follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't follow things to like fruition. So it's like, there's like a hard stop on everything. I'm like, oh, done, good.
Well, and
then it's so hard to get back into it. And that's where the anxiety comes in of like flopping.
Yeah, because you were saying in the car over here that if you were to have kept up every single one of your hyperfixations, you would be like Albert Einstein.
I'm literally the modern day Albert Einstein.
No, he's not. So I was going to make a reference to him in the car and I was like, let's save it for the podcast. So he thinks he would be Albert Einstein, but right now he's, oh God, I hope people understand this reference. Professor or Dr. Finbar Calamitous from...
is that
character in Jimmy Neutron, who he was notorious for never finishing anything. And he was the worst supervillain against Jimmy Neutron because Jimmy would be like, oh, he's not going to finish that, so here's his weakness. So that's kind of like you where you like, we'll start a puzzle and then there'll be like one piece left and you're like, I'm over it. And then you'll walk away and never come back.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Like right now, your hyperfixation is Blue Ivy performing in the Renaissance tour. I hear the song My Power every 2 seconds because Justin is obsessed with it, but I know for a fact.
And guess what? I know the dance. I know the whole dance. I know every fun fact about Blue Ivy and Beyonce. Like I did a deep dive and it's with every single skill I have. Like remember when I like wanted to get a credit card and I stayed up every single night till like 4 a.m. like learning about like finance and how to build good credit. And now I know. I'm like, if anyone needs like financial advising, sit down. I got you. I
And-
will.
And
then I
now
just-
we both have American Express Gold cards. So American
Bougie.
Express,
Bougie.
sponsor us. But yeah, like I feel like you get so fixated on things and then you're excited about them and then you stop them, and that I feel like immediately puts you into a flop because now you're like, I don't want to be fixated on that anymore, but now I have nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think like setting expectations, like I always set expectations like higher than they need to be. And
Yeah.
then if they don't meet that, then it flops. Like, and I think that can translate to like a night out, right?
Yeah.
Like with your friends, like you think you're gonna have the best night ever, and then it doesn't meet that. And then it's like, a flop night. I didn't have fun.
I was just gonna say, let's talk about flop nights because
Yeah.
it's like you can have it in your career, but you were saying friendships and social life. So like, I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many. My prime example of a flop night, and I've become so good at acknowledging when I should go out and when I should not go out. There are key signs of a bad night. If it is so difficult and like stressful for you to get ready to get to that point of like ordering your Uber, do not leave the house. Because if it was like if I was in my bathroom dancing, getting ready and excited, I'm like, yes, it's gonna be a great night out. But if I'm in the shower like getting ready, I'm like, oh, I have to go out. Don't go out. Don't go out.
See, I'll have to tattle your rebuttal, your tattle your rebuttal. I'll have to say something here.
Retattle.
I made up that word. But for me, I like hate the process of getting ready to go out. I hate it. I don't want to go out. Social anxiety is setting in, but once I'm out, I have a good time.
But then it's not a flop night. So what would your flop night entail? Like what makes a bad night for you?
Oh,
Yeah.
hitting me with the hard questions.
Yeah,
I
like-
don't know. Like I have no idea. I think it's like a mindset thing. Like again, like I have
Interesting.
like I want to have super fun. I want to look super hot. I want to get super drunk. I want to meet new people. And then like if those things like don't check off back to back to back to back, flop, boo,
Well,
over it.
You do set really unrealistic expectations. So one, for a fact, I know that you set, which isn't a bad thing. I think this is such a good goal to have. But you have this goal of like every weekend you want to meet and hang out with a new person.
Oh God.
And yes, that is so great. Like I would love if I could do that. But realistically, in the world, people have their friend groups and their set friends, and they don't have that same goal. So like for you to expect that every single night you're going to go out and meet a new person and do all these new things, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, like I know for myself, like when I'm going out with, say, you, some of our best friends, like, and it's like, say 5 of us, I only want to be with you 5. Not that I wouldn't welcome people into the group and be like, yeah, dance with us or whatever, but I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going out to make new friends anymore. Like I will at some point, but not like, if there's a day where I'm like, I just want to be with you guys,
Yeah.
then I'm not like looking to make new friends.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I think people can ruin my night. I think people could make a flop night for me. Like if I go out of my way to talk to someone and I don't get the response that I wanted, or they're kind of nasty to me, which
Yeah.
I have a story, that could ruin my
I have a story.
That could ruin my night.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, also, I'm like sensitive. I'm like a sensitive little baby.
We need to
and, like,
quote every time he says that because he said that in episode number 1. He's like,
I
"I'm sensitive.
I am. I like take things to heart, and it's like I treat everyone how I think should be treated, and
Yeah.
like how I want people to treat me. So it's like when that's not returned, then I'm like, what did I do wrong? Oh my God, everyone fucking hates me. I'm the worst. I'm flopping. I'm ugly. And then then that starts like the downward spiral of like, nobody likes you. You're foul and disgusting.
You get completely in your head.
Yeah.
And I had a night like this. And I'm going to talk my shit really quick because I don't
Talk
care
it.
if this person sees it or not because I've posted about it.
You love being
And
problematic.
I'm not problematic. I'm just like so over bullshit. And I'm a nice person. I make it a point to go out and try. Hold up.
I feel like if you're saying you're a nice person, you're not that nice.
That's not true. Anyways, I feel like whenever we go out, we are like always trying to make a good impression because we know we are good people to each other, like at least to each other, to our friends. We're nice people. I went out of my way to say hi to someone that we know. Like we know this person. We've hung out with this person.
Yeah.
They're sometimes nice to us, whatever. I went up to this person, gave them a hug. I'm like, oh my God, how's it going? We're in the middle of a bar. Like he's at the bar and I'm at the bar. So
Wait,
it's not like
who is it?
not
Wait,
tell-
wait,
no,
can
no.
we bleep it? Bleep it, and we'll say.
We're bleeping that. And we have to put like fuzz over my mouth too. But I went up to this person at the bar And the way I hugged them and then they looked at me and it was like almost like a, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I was like, first of all, go yourself. Second of all, you literally post yourself eating uncooked, unseasoned chicken on your story every single day, acting like that's a flex. You have no right to be a nasty person and make me feel like I'm a shit person and that my night gets ruined because I was trying to be nice to you.
And now you're having a flop night.
Now I
All
literally
because of that one interaction.
flopped right on my face because I was like, wow,
On
maybe
your ass.
maybe no one wants to talk to me. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not as great as I thought I was.
Yeah.
But I am. And I've always been that.
And then it just plummets.
Yeah.
So would you say that like flopping is a mindset?
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Oh,
Ew, sorry. Flop just came out of me.
You're hungover. You have to. You're coughing. Oh God.
Okay, back to my question though. Is flop a mindset or is it like an era that you're in?
I think it could be both. So I think you could be in the era because of your mindset.
Yeah.
So I've tried to not compare myself a lot of the time because I feel like if I compare myself, I set my expectations even higher because I'm like, oh, this person's doing this and that's their measure of success of a night out, their career, whatever. So if I'm looking at other people constantly, I'm always going to think I'm never good enough. Yeah. But I'm running a different race than everybody. Like I'm running on the same track, but I'm running the 500-meter dash or whatever it is. They're running a 2-mile marathon.
Exactly.
Whatever. That's not right. But
your favorite quote, and this is something that sticks with me, is you don't compete where you don't compare, which I'm like, that's such a tough thing to get in my little noggin. It's like, I'm competing with everyone constantly, but I'm like, we're all doing different things. So like, why the fuck am I comparing myself to someone who lives in France, who works in fashion? And I'm like, oh, why can't I do that? Oh God, I suck.
My biggest example of don't compete where you don't compare and like that you're running a different race than everybody is, for example, in content creation, being a social media influencer, being in LA and being an influencer is much different than living in the middle of nowhere and being an influencer.
Oh yeah.
Someone I knew was like, it's so easy to be an NYC influencer because everybody does it. You have so much to go off of. Go and influence in Missouri and tell me if you can do it, because who the are you influencing in Missouri?
Also, let's be honest, who are they influencing in general? Are you influencing or are you influential?
I don't even think it's that. Like, no offense to my New York City influencer girlies, I just feel like a lot of them are just socialites and that was their goal in life. Their goal was never to entertain, it was never to make a difference, it was just to like be able to live this be seen, live this luxurious lifestyle when half of them are Nepo babies. Like, let's be fucking real. And that's like, that was their goal. It was like, okay, how can I do something, be polarizing, get big, and then I can just like do everything else that I wanted to do, like make money, do that, be seen, go out to dinner for a living. Like, I'm still working at 2 jobs. You're working 2 jobs. Right. Like, I don't know.
That you're like on a tangent.
Well, that tangent is like
going off.
But comparing myself to people that like that makes me feel like I'm in my flop era because I can't just like do that.
And let me ask you this now. These people who you're comparing yourself to could also be thinking that they're in their flop, but they don't even know that people are looking at them like, oh my God, I wish I had that, which is something that like I need to remember too. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like not having a good time, but I know that there are people out there like looking at me being like, I want what he has.
Yeah.
And that's like something that humbles me too, because I'm like, okay, maybe I am like, I'm too hard on myself. And I feel like that's a lot like everyone can take away is like, stop being so damn hard on yourself. Like, just let life go. Just let life go, which I have such a hard time like letting go and like being me. But like, I think that's like a big takeaway.
And I think for you too, like, especially with comparing yourselves in different fields, like we have, like, this is a skill. Like what we're doing right now, some people can't do. Like, no offense.
I can barely do it.
But you're doing it. There are some people who are still like, say they're an influencer who only does dances, which yes, dancing is such a good skill, but they could be looking at us and being like, I wish I could talk on camera. And I'm like, I wish my ankles wouldn't crack every time I walked upstairs, but here you are doing the splits and shaking your ass. Like, so there's like a trade-off where I could feel like I'm, flopping in one way, but then they're like, well, I don't have this skill, so maybe I'm flopping. So it's like, I think it's an era and a mindset.
So maybe flopping doesn't even exist.
Maybe it doesn't. It's the multiverse of madness.
Oh my God, we just came full circle. We're like, flop is real. I'm in my flop, and then I'm like, oh my God, just kidding. Flop is not real.
Well, is there anything you do like? Let's move it away from being your flop era. Like when you're in like this down in the dumps valley.
Oh God.
Is there anything you do, or is there a way that you recognize it? Have you ever been like, oh shit, I'm depressed, or I'm not motivated to do anything?
Yeah, it's when I like there are like 4 pillars of Justin. There are like 4 kingdoms of Justin. And it's like when those aren't being like met and fulfilled and like people aren't prospering in those kingdoms, then I'm like, oh. And
Justin is
those
Avatar, the next Airbender, the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, the Air Nation,
dead
the Earth
ass.
Nation.
No, for real. I'm like modern day Avatar. I'm like, okay, my fire is like my workout. Like if my fitness goals aren't being met, I'm like spiraling. Then it's like career. I'm always looking for that like elevation, right? And then it's like, okay, if I'm not being promoted or like recognized at work, up, I'm flopping.
Yeah.
And then it's like another kingdom is like friendship. That's like super important to me as a person, like to have like those core like relationships. And if I feel alone, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Maybe I'm an introvert. Maybe I'm just like lonely. And then 4th kingdom is, oh my God, what is my 4th kingdom?
You did friends, career, social.
Friends, career, social. Oh,
Fa-
family.
I would say family.
Family, yeah.
I was
Family
like, damn,
kingdom.
don't leave out Maria and Dan.
I know. Hey, mom, love you, and dad. But yeah, if I'm not feeling like super like connected to like my family, like yeah, I live thousands of miles away from them, so like I have to call them. I have to like, but if I feel myself not doing that, then I'm like, I start like spiraling immediately.
You put I think a lot of people probably do this, but you put a lot of weight onto, there's things that matter and there are things that don't. There are things like your family. You should put a lot of weight into your family. Like I call my mom and my dad at least twice a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes more, even if it's just to complain. But like I know for a fact they love that I just talk to them. Put all your eggs in that basket if you have to. But never, like, I feel like there's things that I'm like, I always look at you and I'm like, why are you stressed about this?
Yeah.
Why are you putting so much effort into this? It's not like a family member is sick or you haven't talked to your family member. It's a friend who gave you a look at the bar the wrong way. Where it's like, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
well, have you ever been numb to life? Like, have you ever felt numb to life?
God, this episode, damn. It's
Well, 'cause-
supposed to be lighthearted and fun, and we're like, are you depressed?
No, it's let me give my example then, because like you call me a crotchety old man. So
You are.
So I've been saying it to myself too. I'm like, maybe I'm just crotchety and I'm getting older, but I'm only 26. And I'm not like, I don't hate life. Like I love my life. I live a great life, but I think I've become numb to things that don't serve me. Where if you, for example, again, I always say I love my job, but I want to talk about my job. I will never put my body or my mental health on the line for a company that could replace me in a minute, that, you know, I'm not going to work on my weekends if I don't have to. Like, there are just things that I'm not willing to sacrifice to, like, not make me happy, you know?
Yeah, see, I'm like the opposite. And I'm like, if my boss doesn't put an exclamation point at the end of her chat, I'm like, she hates me. She's going to fire me. And I'm like, I look so in deep into like little things, because I know at the end of every chat I put an exclamation point and a smiley.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that
You're
they
one of
know
those.
that every message, Lewis, smile. Just so
Oh,
that they
no.
know that I'm not mad at them. Just so that they know.
I'm beyond past the pleasantries over email. Tell me what you need. Don't be like, hey, how are you? What the do you need? Don't tell me, oh, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? No, babe, it's a Wednesday. What do you need from me?
We would not work together well.
But also, this is your first job. I've worked for 3 or 4 years now.
I
So like,
forgot you're like in your 50s.
I was an
Yeah,
I was
I'm
an
like
intern
really youthful.
first.
I'm like really new to the workforce, and you're like in your 50s, ancient. You're like almost at retirement. Like you're almost there, so close. I can't wait to throw you that party.
Oh my God. I just think I've become, like you said, like, oh, my boss hates me. I'm going to go cry about it. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, and if you hate me, you're a grown-ass adult.
Yeah.
Getting
True.
paid probably more than me. Why would you hate me? Like,
Yeah.
that's so high school, and you're literally 50 getting paid a salary.
True.
That's how I feel. I'm like, no one can hate me for a job that isn't saving lives.
Yeah.
If I was a doctor, absolutely, if I didn't do my job, you should hate me.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting paid a ton of money to save people,
Yeah.
essentially.
So it's like flopping can be inflicted by so many different, what's the word? Como se dice, everything that's around you.
Factors.
Factors.
Environmental factors.
Yes, that's the word.
Like,
como se dice,
back to
factors.
the avatar, the air, water, fire, earth.
Deadass. Like there are so many external forces that can like inflict you feeling like you're in your flop when in reality you're not.
Yeah.
So,
I almost feel like too, I need to stop making problems out of things that aren't presented as problems to me.
yeah.
Where I know we've talked about like some of my friends that I've had in the past, where it's like, I always think like, oh, this person doesn't like me or I said this wrong or whatever. But then we've both gotten to a place where it's like, we can't think people aren't happy with us if they don't tell us. I can't craft this story out of nothing because then it makes me spiral because I'm like, oh, I said something wrong. But at the end of the day, if somebody really felt some type of way about you or you did something wrong, it is on them to tell you.
Yeah.
Not on you to make it up and be like, oh, shit, I did this wrong. They must hate me. Because then it's like you're painting a narrative that isn't true.
Yeah.
Maybe not true.
Period.
Yeah.
I love that thought.
So I think that contributes a lot to spiraling.
True.
Yeah.
Like the flop to the spiral pipeline.
The flop to the spiral.
Flop to the spiral, to the depressed, to the crawling out of the cave.
But I don't know. It's sometimes hard for me to like watch you, especially like deal with like, I don't know, life sometimes because it's like you're just like, you'll have these moments where you're like, oh, I'm so upset. I'm depressed. I'm this, that, the other. And then you'll come up like, I'm a new person. I'm reborn. I'm rebirthed. I'm going to take on the world. And then 2 seconds later, you're like I'm going to cry.
It's called bipolar, babes. Get used to it.
Oh, God. Not bipolar. I mean.
Hey, aren't we all? But would you say, like, overall, like, flopping is okay?
Yeah.
It's okay.
If you don't flop in your life, I think you're lying. I think you're a liar. There is no way everybody is happy all the time. Nobody is not feeling some type of way. No one is not comparing themselves in some type of way to anybody. Like if you don't flop, I'm convinced you don't leave your house.
Rob and Nadia, are you guys in your flop era, or do you think that you're flopping in the moment? Yes?
Oh, we got nods?
Nods?
Oh.
Okay. So, but to me, you guys don't look like it. Like, they're thriving.
Well, that's the thing is like a lot of people like, I mean, I post on the internet like when I'm even in my worst eras.
Yeah.
Like I'm in my bed like dead.
Yeah.
But like everybody looks at I think a lot of us and are like, oh, they're so professional, they're so this, they have this going for them. But like on the side, we're like laying in bed and we're like, God, we hate it here.
Yeah.
We need to leave. We need to flee the country. We need to get new jobs. We need to find happiness.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, that's like, flopping is not real.
If you think everybody you see out in the world has everything, all their together, no, they don't. And I'm here to tell you that because everybody thinks I have my together. I don't. They're literally
pathological liars, and they are foul to this world.
And they must be dealt with.
We have to get them.
I won't be dealing with them. You won't
might.
You have to deal with yourself. That's the other thing. Like, I'm a firm believer in you need to take care of like your own home first. And by your home, I mean yourself. Justin will have Justin will have Justin will have these moments where he's like, I'm spiraling this, that, the other. He's like freaking out. And then I'll hear him upstairs on the phone with someone. And that person is like laying out their dirty laundry to him, like crying. And I'm like, Justin, you need to take care of yourself before you take on their baggage.
Listen, I love being a therapist. You can hire me. I charge, it's very cheap. It's free. It's free. You can dish out all your problems. I'll listen and then I'll hang up and then cry myself to sleep.
That's what I'm saying. Like we had a hard talk about that. I was like, you need to like really focus on like your situation first, which we're acting like we're like in turmoil. Like we have a very nice life together. I don't think
this
we're in
hell. I'm being chained to this couch and forced to speak.
I'm gonna check you really quick. You have clothes on your back. You're doing a podcast. You have an apartment to live in. You have family. You have friends. We are not in turmoil, but we are allowed to say we have moments where we're not okay.
You got me there.
And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, though, is like people are embarrassed to say that they're not okay. And I'm like, no, but it's not a trend either.
Yeah.
Like it's not a trend. Like I've seen people be like, there is someone I know being called out for like faking sobriety right now. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not something you fake because there are people who actually deal with that issue and have lost people. Yeah. But if you're just doing it, say, for a view or like you've lost, you know, motivation to do other content or whatever, then yes, I don't trust that. And I think, you know, I don't want you to fake not being okay, but I also don't want to call you out for maybe you aren't okay.
Yeah.
But I think opening up and saying you're not okay to people is the first thing that you need to do.
Yes, I agree. I feel like this was like a little therapy session. Thanks, guys, for listening. Like
you needed it.
My own therapy session, and now millions of people can listen in and maybe have their own therapy session.
Oh my God.
We're charging for this.
Yeah, like you pay up. Oh my God. Pay up. Send this to a friend, make them watch it. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a lot to take away from it though, because like we did talk about a lot. I think our biggest thing too with this podcast is like, I don't want to be like every other podcast where it's like they just like talk bull and like there's nothing to take away from it. Like there's no value in it, where it's like people need to see that like people like us are going through shit sometimes. Like
this is serious, guys.
no, it's not.
This is serious.
We're the least serious people, but also at the same time, like we get very deep into
Yes.
things.
Well, I love this episode.
I do too.
So,
I don't know. I'm like,
oh, you're still going.
I am. I'm just like,
I'm
maybe
like-
I am in my
I'm
flop.
I'm like, we're wrapping it up here, and you're like, I have one more thing to say.
But I'm like, maybe I am like in a little bit of a flop right now, because like I measure success on things that like shouldn't. I don't know. I shouldn't be measuring success on someone else's ruler, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I shouldn't be like, oh, this person's getting all these things. Like my prime example, I was complaining to Justin in the car about like how all these influencers are going to Italy right now. And it made me like super upset, because I'm like, why do these people, like why them? And it's not because I don't want them to get it. It's more like, how do I get to that place?
Yeah.
And I have to remember that we did do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's like everybody has their moment.
True.
So like maybe my moment right now is just like sit back and relax.
Sit back and let me wrap up this episode.
Oh,
which,
so
which is what I've been trying to do now for the past 5 minutes, and you keep going.
First of all,
So let me wrap this up.
I'll let Justin wrap after
let
I
me
just
put a bow on it.
let's pull the curtain back, because our producer Nadia just walked behind the camera and said wrap 2 seconds ago. So I was still on time. Wrap it up.
I'm wrapping.
Go.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this episode. We unpacked a lot. We had our own therapy session.
Who are you talking to, me or the audience?
Oh my God, Lewis. God damn. Let me
There.
fucking wrap this thing. Okay. Let me fix my hair. Hold on.
No,
Okay.
wrap it.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For real. Like, we talked about a lot. We got super serious, which sometimes you have to do. Sometimes you got to get to the right?
Yeah.
But it was super fun. I had a great time. And also, maybe I'm coming out of my flop era. And I
Yeah.
hope you are too.
I think we will be.
Yeah.
And as always, if you liked this episode and you learned something from it, which you should have, because we really just opened up for you, make sure to like, subscribe, tune in anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, watch here on YouTube, share with a friend, and tune in next time for Third Wheeling.
Bye.
Bye.
God damn it. Let me wrap this shit. Like, you just kept going.
You know what? I hope you stay in your flop.